Hello, fellow gamers! The Steam Summer Sale is officially here, and that means hundreds of incredible games and massive hits are seeing some of their best prices ever. I have picked some of the best indie game deals you can grab right now. TerraTech Legion, and at 20% off, it is an absolute steal for anyone who loves the survivors-like genre but wants something genuinely fresh. Developed by Payload Studios, this takes the block-based vehicle construction from the original TerraTech and drops it headfirst into a chaotic bullet heaven. Instead of picking standard stat upgrades when you level up, you are actively clipping wheels, shields, and orbital lasers onto your rolling fortress mid-run. Physics completely dictate your success. Where you place your blocks changes your center of mass and steering. You can build a speedy dragster packed with homing missiles, or a heavy armored brick designed to ram bosses. Dropping down to just $7.99 during the sale, it is a brilliantly addictive loop that runs smoothly on the Steam Deck. CARRION, and at an unbelievable 90% off, this is a must-buy for anyone looking for a brilliantly dark, fluid action game. Developed by Phobia Game Studio and published by Devolver Digital, this is a reverse horror game where you don't play as the survivor, you play as the monster. You control an amorphous, crimson mass of tentacles, teeth, and raw malice, tearing through a secretive underground research facility to escape imprisonment. The movement feels absolutely fantastic as you slither through vents, smash steel doors, and stalk scientists from the shadows. Watching your creature physically grow larger and develop new, terrifying mutations as you consume your captors is incredibly satisfying. Down to just $1.99 during the sale, it is a bloody good time. Ghostwire Tokyo, also at 90% off, this visually spectacular supernatural action game is an absolute steal. Developed by Tango Gameworks, this drops you into a deserted Tokyo where the city's population has completely vanished, replaced by deadly entities rooted in Japanese folklore and urban legends. Instead of traditional firearms, you use supernatural martial arts gestures known as ethereal weaving to fire wind, water, and fire magic from your fingertips. The atmosphere is the real star here, exploring the neon-lit streets of Shibuya while purifying torii gates and hunting spirits feels incredibly distinct. Dropping from $60 down to just $5.99 during the sale, it is a phenomenal experience to pick up. Rotwood, 25% off. This is the perfect time to grab one of the most satisfying roguelite beat-em-ups on the market. Developed by Clay Entertainment, the brilliant minds behind Don't Starve and Mark of the Ninja, this game drops you into a dense, hostile forest filled with corrupted beasts. The focus here is entirely on combat mastery. This isn't a brainless button masher. You need to practice and perfect your combo timings, spacing, and dodges for each distinct weapon type, whether you are swinging a massive hammer or fencing with a spear. The loop of gathering resources, upgrading your gear back at town, and pushing further into the woods with friends is incredibly rewarding. Dropping down to $22.49 during the sale, it is a great pick for co-op or solo fans. Schedule 1, and at 40% off, this is a phenomenal deal for anyone who loves deep, gritty management sims with a dark, comedic edge. Developed by TVGS and making massive waves since its launch, this open-world crime simulator puts you in the shoes of a small-time dealer trying to build an empire from the ground up in the rain-slicked city of Highland Point. This isn't just a basic tycoon game, it is a highly detailed, immersive first-person experience. You are actively manufacturing various products, experimenting with wild additives to alter potency, managing supply chains, and evading aggressive rival cartels and police curfews. The loop of buying up local properties, hiring botanists, and slowly automating your entire operation is incredibly addictive. Dropping down from $20 to just $11.99 during the sale, it is an absolute must-play. Beyond Two Souls, 90% off. This is a spectacular deal for fans of narrative-heavy cinematic adventures. Developed by Quantic Dream, the masters behind Heavy Rain and Detroit Become Human, this psychological thriller stars A-list Hollywood talents Elliot Page, The Last Time as a Woman, and Willem Dafoe. You follow the 15-year chronicle of Jodie Holmes, a woman linked since birth to a powerful, invisible entity named Aiden. The gameplay seamlessly blends interactive storytelling, QuickTime choices, and direct control control of Aiden to phase through walls, possess enemies, or manipulate the environment. Your decisions ripple across the timeline, shaping an emotionally charged mystery that plays out like a high-budget sci-fi series. Dropping from $20 to just $1.99 during the sale, it is a phenomenal value for your library. Dead Space, 90% off. This is arguably the absolute biggest steal of the entire summer sale. Developed by EA Motive, this phenomenal remake of the classic sci-fi survival horror masterpiece completely modernizes the terrifying isolation of the USG Ishimura. You play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer stranded on a mining spaceship completely overrun by grotesque, mutated creatures known as necromorphs. The strategic dismemberment system is just as intense and satisfying as you remember, forcing you to precisely slice off limbs with your plasma cutter rather than aiming for standard headshots. The updated graphics, breathtaking volumetric lighting, and completely redesigned audio system build an incredibly suffocating atmosphere that looks and sounds spectacular. Dropping from $60 to just $5.99, it is a masterpiece for the price of a coffee. Risk of Rain 2, and at 67% off, this is a phenomenal opportunity to grab one of the absolute kings of the action roguelite genre. Developed by Hopoo Games, this masterfully transitions the chaotic, item-stacking gameplay of the original 2D side-scroller into a breathtaking, fast-paced 3D third-person shooter. You land on a hostile alien planet with a simple goal: find the teleporter, defeat the boss, and escape. The twist is that time is your greatest enemy. The difficulty continuously increases every single minute. The real magic lies in the item synergy, letting you combine items in ridiculous ways until you become an overpowered force of nature. With great build variety across its diverse survivors, it runs great on Steam Deck. Dropping from $25 to just $8.24, it is a mandatory pick. Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, and at 40% off, this is an absolute must-buy for fans of massive, dark fantasy open-world RPGs. Developed by Questline and published by Awaken Realms, this game offers a grim, first-person reimagining of Arthurian legends, where King Arthur is long dead and the world is stuck in a state of everlasting autumn. The gameplay draws heavy inspiration from classic open-world like Skyrim, but infuses it with a much more suffocating, gritty atmosphere and an immersive simulation design. You explore a non-linear world, engage in tactical first-person combat, and make heavy, branching choices that genuinely shape the narrative. The world building here is top tier, featuring phenomenal environmental storytelling and deep exploration. Dropping down to $26.99 during the sale, it is a massive adventure well worth your time. Hogwarts Legacy, at a massive 85% off, this open-world action RPG has hit an absolute historic low price that makes it an undeniable addition to your library. Developed by Avalanche Software, this game delivers the ultimate wizarding world fantasy, setting you loose as a customizable fifth-year student in late 19th century Hogwarts. The scale of the game is spectacular. You aren't just exploring the intricately detailed corridors of the castle. You can jump onto your broomstick or a hippogriff to seamlessly fly across a vast Scottish highlands filled with magical beast dens, hidden dungeons, and wizarding villages like Hogsmeade. The real-time wand combat is surprisingly deep, letting you chain together combos of levitation, force, and elemental magic, or even learn the dark arts. Dropping from $60 down to just $8.99, it is a massive, high-budget adventure for an indie-level price. Mouse, PI for Hire, 20% off. This is a fantastic opportunity to grab one of the most visually striking and unique first-person shooters of the year. Developed by Fumi Games and published by Playside Studios, this brilliant boomer shooter combines raw, fast-paced action with a breathtaking 1930s hand-drawn, rubber hose cartoon aesthetic. You step into the paws of Jack Pepper, a hard-boiled mouse private investigator tackling a deep web of crime and corruption in the gritty city of Mouseburg. The gameplay is a wonderful mix of noir detective investigation and explosive arena shootouts. You are tearing through crooked mobsters and gangs using a fully loaded arsenal of classic, creatively twisted firearms, all set to an incredible, original big band jazz soundtrack. Dropping down from $30 to just $23.99, it is an incredibly unique retro shooter well worth a look. A Plague Tale: Innocence. And at a staggering 90% off, this is an unbelievable value for one of the most emotionally gripping narrative adventures of the last decade. Developed by Asobo Studio, this dark historical fantasy follows the harrowing journey of a young noblewoman, Amicia, and her sickly little brother Hugo as they flee from the brutal Inquisition across 14th century war-torn France. The gameplay is a brilliant mix of stealth, light puzzle solving, and resource crafting, using your sling to manipulate lights and distract guards. However, the real threat is the terrifying supernatural swarms of ravenous plague rats that cover the ground. Fire is your only safety, forcing you to carefully navigate light sources to stay alive. Dropping down from $40 to just $3.99, this is a masterclass in atmospheric storytelling. Atomic Heart, 75% off. This visually spectacular alternate history sci-fi shooter is at its absolute lowest price yet. Developed by Mundfish, this game plunges you into a retro-futuristic utopian Soviet Union in the 50s, where an advanced robotics network has suddenly revolted against its creators. The aesthetic design here is utterly breathtaking, offering a wild mix of biopunk tech and striking Soviet architecture. Combat is fast and aggressive, forcing you to combine traditional firearms with a sentient polymer glove that allows you to freeze, telekinetically lift, and electrocute waves of haywire androids and monstrous experiments. Dropping from $59.99 down to just $14.99 during the sale, it is an incredible, highly stylized ride. NieRAutomata, and at 60% off, this is an unmissable opportunity to experience one of the greatest video games in history. Developed by Platinum Games and directed by the legendary Yoko Taro, this action RPG tells a profound story about a proxy war between human-made androids and an invading army of alien machines. The gameplay is absolute perfection, flawlessly blending lightning-fast, flashy hack-and-slash combat with sudden transitions into top-down shoot-'em-up and 2D side-scrolling segments. It's a game that constantly messes with your expectations, utilizing the video game medium itself to deliver a mind-bending, existential narrative that requires multiple playthroughs to fully uncover. Paired with one of the greatest soundtracks ever composed, it is unforgettable. Dropping from $40 to just $15.99, it belongs in every library. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, and at a fantastic 60% off, this is the definitive modern tribute to classic arcade beat-em-ups. Developed by Tribute Games and published by Dotemu, this gorgeous pixel art brawler perfectly captures the energy of the 90s cartoon series while introducing brilliantly fluid modern mechanics. You can play with up to 6 players locally or online, tearing through beautifully designed stages filled with Foot Clan soldiers and iconic bosses. The combat feels incredibly satisfying and responsive, offering distinct movesets, air combos, and special attacks for each turtle, along with Master Splinter, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones. Paired with a high-energy soundtrack, it is pure nostalgic joy that shines on the Steam Deck. Dropping down to just $9.99, it is a perfect pickup. Resident Evil 4, and at a massive 75% off, this survival horror has hit an absolute all-time low price. Developed by Capcom, this brilliant remake completely rebuilds the legendary 2005 original from the ground up, keeping the intense action intact while layering on a deeply suffocating modern horror atmosphere. You step back into the combat boots of Agent Leon S. Kennedy on a high-stakes rescue mission in a secluded European village overrun by a terrifying, mind-controlling parasite. The over-the-shoulder gunplay feels wonderfully heavy and deliberate, enhanced by a new parrying mechanic that lets you deflect chainsaw attacks with a combat knife. Dropping all the way from $40 down to just $9.99, it is an essential experience for your Steam library. Die in the Dungeon, 35% off. This is a brilliant grab for strategy fans looking for a completely fresh spin on the roguelike deck builder genre. Developed by Attico and published by Hype Train Digital, this incredibly clever indie drops you into a mysterious, grid-based dungeon where your survival entirely depends on how you manage your board. Instead of building a traditional deck of cards like in Slay the Spire, your deck is entirely made of diverse, colorful dice. The gameplay revolves around placing these dice onto a limited tactical tactical grid to execute attacks, trigger blocks, or cast healing spells. What makes it so satisfying is how the dice interact. Placing a multiplier die next to an attack die spikes your damage, allowing for complex, high synergy setups before you roll. Dropping down from $15 to just $9.94 during the sale, it is an absolute tactical treat that is perfect for short sessions. Monsters are coming, and at 30% off, this is an incredible budget pick for anyone hooked on the one more run loop of action roguelites. Developed by Ludogram and published by Raw Fury, this indie gem injects a brilliantly clever twist into the familiar Vampire Survivors bullet hell formula by smashing it together with mobile tower defense. Instead of just defending yourself, you are protecting an entire, ever-moving city on wheels from unrelenting hordes of darkness. As a multitasking hero, you have to constantly venture out into the chaotic battlefield to chop wood, mine gold, and gather stone, then sprint back to fortify your moving fortress with archery outposts, Tesla towers, and flame-breathing dragons. It is a stressful, addicting balance of risk versus reward, where the run only ends if your city is completely reduced to ash. Dropping down from $8.99 to just $6.29, it is an absolute steal for your Steam Deck. Kingdom Come: Deliverance 2, and at a massive 60% off, this is a mind-blowing discount for a premier historical open-world RPG. Developed by Warhorse Studios, this sprawling sequel completely scales up the grit, realism, and deeply immersive simulator elements of Henry of Skalitz's journey through 15th century Bohemia. The gameplay doubles down on authentic medieval simulation, throwing you into a massive, gorgeous world where your social standing, hygiene, and clothing completely alter how NPCs interact with you. The brutal first-person directional combat returns with incredible refinements, offering a heavy, tactical dance of parries and deadly strikes. From massive city sieges to quiet countryside ambushes, the scale is staggering, and the narrative stakes are higher than ever. Dropping down from $60 to just $23.99, it is a great value for one of the best RPGs on the market. No rest for the wicked, and at 30% off, this is an incredible opportunity to jump into one of the most rewarding action RPGs currently in early access. Developed by Moon Studios, the brilliant minds behind the Ori series, this game takes a dramatic, mature turn into a dark, plague-ridden fantasy world. The visual direction is a stunning, hand-painted masterpiece, looking like a moving oil painting from a top-down perspective. But don't let the camera angle fool you. The gameplay is a visceral, heavy, and methodical blend of tactical, Souls-like combat and action RPG exploration. Every swing of your weapon requires precise timing, stamina management, and spacing as you tear through grotesque, mutated horrors. Dropping down from $40 to $27.99 during the sale, it is a phenomenal pickup before the eventual 1.0 launch price increase in October. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, and at a staggering 70% off, this blockbuster action game has hit a historic low price. Developed by Saber Interactive and published by Focus Entertainment, this game delivers the ultimate power fantasy of playing as a genetically enhanced super soldier standing against the ultimate horrors of the galaxy. The gameplay blends visceral third-person shooting with heavy, brutal hack-and-slash melee combat. You step into the armored boots of Lieutenant Titus, tearing through terrifying swarms of hundreds of Tyranids thanks to incredible horde rendering technology. Whether you are blasting through the cinematic campaign solo or with friends, diving into the dedicated 3-player co-op operations, or fighting in PvP, it is an absolute visual and mechanical powerhouse. Dropping from $60 all the way down to just $17.99, it is an essential addition to your action library. Persona 3 Reload, and at a phenomenal 65% off, this spectacular remake has reached an absolute cheapest price. Developed by Atlas and published by Sega, this game completely modernizes the beloved 2006 JRPG classic, rebuilding it from the ground up with stunning visuals reminiscent of Persona 5 Royal, an overhauled interface, and vast quality-of-life improvements. The gameplay splits your time between two distinct, highly addictive lives. By day, you play play as a high school transfer student building social bonds, studying for exams, and exploring Tatsumi Port Island. By night, you and your squad navigate the Dark Hour, a hidden hour of the day filled with monstrous shadows. You command tactical, turn-based combat using your personas, chaining elemental weaknesses and triggering devastating all-out attacks, all backed by a legendary, newly recorded jazz pop soundtrack. Dropping from $60 all the way down to just $20.99, it is an astonishing amount of high-tier RPG content for your money. Shogun Showdown, and at 50% off, this is a must-buy for anyone who loves tightly designed, highly rewarding tactical strategy. Developed by Robotino and published by Goblins Publishing, this brilliant indie gem masterfully fuses roguelike deck building with turn-based grid combat. What makes this game so incredibly special is how it strips away the fat of traditional tactics games to focus entirely on positioning and anticipation. Every battle takes place on a single 2D plane. You manage your actions by queuing up tile-based attack and movement commands, but the catch is that every move takes time to execute. You have to constantly read your enemy's upcoming attacks, step out of harm's way at the last millisecond, and manipulate their positioning so they accidentally strike each other. It plays out like a hyper-satisfying blend of a puzzle game and a tactical samurai showdown. Dropping down from $15 to just $7.49, it is a flawless, highly addicting title that feels tailor-made for the Steam Deck. StarVaders, and at 30% off, this is an incredible price to jump into one of the most brilliant and addictive strategy indies of recent memory. Developed by StarVaders Studio, this absolute gem flawlessly merges roguelike deck building, grid-based turn-based tactics, and intense mecha versus alien combat. The gameplay is incredibly deep yet wonderfully snappy. You pilot a powerful mech on a small grid, playing cards from your deck to zip around the board, blast waves of encroaching alien invaders, and chain together game-breaking combos. What sets it apart is its unique time rewind mechanic, allowing you to undo a bad turn and alter your tactical fate when you make a fatal miscalculation. It feels like a brilliant, hyper-fast fusion of Into the Breach and Slay the Spire. Dropping down from $24.99 to just $17.49, it is a perfect addition to your library. Absolum, and at a sweet 25% off, this is a spectacular deal for an incredibly stylized, action-packed indie release. Developed by Guard Crush Games and published by Dotemu, this dark fantasy title flawlessly injects a modern roguelite progression loop straight into the bones of a classic, fluid arcade beat-em-up. You choose from a roster of outcast heroes from the world of Talum, fighting a fierce, desperate battle to wrestle ancient magic back from the tyrannical Sun King Azra. The gameplay is an absolute masterpiece of style and fluid fighter mechanics. Every punch, parry, and special ability lands with incredible impact, and it supports full cross-platform multiplayer so you can easily bash through enemy lines with a friend. Dropping down from $24.99 to just $18.74, it's a brilliant, highly replayable brawler. And there you have it, some of the absolute best deals you can grab right now. Steam's summer sale will end on July 9th, so you better hurry. If any of these games caught your eye, or if you've already picked up a few of them, let me know down in the comments which ones you're diving into first. If you want to stay ahead of the next massive sales, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.